Welcome, everyone, to the We Rise Now Election Eve Vigil. We are so grateful that each and every one of you has chosen to answer this call for unity at a pivotal time in our history. My name is Diane Brenneman. I'm a counselor with a one-on-one practice working with people. I also am a meditation teacher. I created my own form of meditation called holistic meditation, and I've had the deep and profound privilege of teaching that literally all over the world now. I'm one of the organizers of tonight's Election Eve Vigil, along with my dear friend, Ann Tillery, and my two partners in the We Rise Now movement, Dr. Robert Martin and the Reverend Karen Lampe. We'll also be joined tonight by two amazing human beings, Classy Alsing and Sylvania Herod. I'm going to allow all of them to tell you a little bit more about themselves. In this moment, we come to a fork in the road. A fork in the road where we're being asked whether we're going to give lip service to our religious and spiritual practices, or whether we're going to find the courage to truly embody them and to express them out into the world. You see, all of the great religious and wisdom traditions teach the same thing. We are called to open our hearts and to love one another. And yet here we are in a moment of time when fear, anger, anxiety, and even hatred are dominating our airways and are causing so much pain in this world. And yet, again, every one of our religious traditions teaches that we are to love each other. And this teaching is not just a teaching of morality, it has practical implications. After all, the root word for civilization is civil. And we can no longer deny the impact that this lack of compassion is having on our world when we can no longer love one another. This is how civilizations begin to unravel. We also lose that experience of the presence of God, God by any name, when we cannot experience love for each other. Again, every wisdom and religious tradition teaches the same here, and that is God by any name is the experience of love. And so tonight we've brought together some of the most incredible religious and spiritual teachers to support us in opening our hearts and experiencing that presence. You see, Western science is now proving what the religions have taught us. And that is that when we engage in certain, particularly meditative practices, we actually increase our ability to open our heart and to love. And so tonight, you're going to experience many of these practices. Now, this is an interfaith event. And so as you listen tonight, you may hear things that you've never heard before. You might even hear something that you don't believe in or disagree with. That's okay. We invite you to just put your head in your heart, to open to what your brothers and sisters are offering here and to experience the presence that is actually here. And so tonight we begin our program with one of the world's leading experts on opening the heart, Sharon Salzberg. Sharon is a New York Times best-selling author who leads retreats and classes for people all over the world. When Sharon was a child, her life was filled with much pain and trauma. And yet, Sharon had an experience of meditation and how life could actually be different than how she was experiencing it. So in 1970, she took off for India. She found amazing teachers there. And then she returned. And in 1976, along with Joseph Goldstein and Jack Kornfield, she created an institute that is now one of the foremost in meditative practices. Tonight, Sharon is going to be offering us a practice. It's one of my favorite forms of meditative practice, a practice in loving kindness. Please join me in welcoming Sharon.
Hi, I'm Sharon Salzberg, and I'd like to lead a loving kindness meditation. We practice loving kindness by resting our attention on the silent repetition of certain phrases. The phrases are a way of paying attention differently. They're the expression of the heart toward caring, toward inclusion, toward recognition. We offer these phrases first to ourselves, then to others, and finally to all beings everywhere, really the boundlessness of life. Common phrases are things beginning with ourselves like, may I be safe, be happy, be healthy, live with ease. People often say to me, well, who am I asking? We're not really asking anybody anything. We're gift giving, we're offering. It's like a blessing coming forth. So let's sit together. You can sit comfortably, close your eyes or not, and begin repeating these phrases. May I be safe, be happy, be healthy, live with ease, with enough space and enough silence, so that it's a rhythm that's pleasing to you. This is like the song of the heart. You don't have to try to fabricate or manufacture a special feeling. The power of the practice is in the complete wholehearted gathering of all of our attention behind one phrase at a time. And should you find your attention wandering, don't worry about it. See if you can let go of whatever's distracted you and just bring your attention back to the phrases. We let go and we begin again. May I be safe, be happy, be healthy, live with ease. And then bring to mind somebody who's helped you. Maybe they've helped you directly. They've helped pick you up when you've fallen down. Or maybe you've never met them. They've inspired you from afar. This is someone who, when you think of them, you smile. It could be an adult. It could be a child. It could be a pet. Who makes you smile? So if there's someone, bring them here. You can get an image of them or say their name to yourself. Get a feeling for their presence. And offer the phrases of loving kindness to them. Even if the words don't seem perfect, it doesn't matter. They're the vehicle of the heart's energy, and so they're serving us. May you be safe. Be happy. Be healthy. Live with ease. then someone you know who's struggling, who seems frightened or alone. Bring them here and offer the phrases of loving kindness to them. May you be safe, be happy, be healthy, live with ease. And let's have a group, whoever comes to mind, friends, family, colleagues, puppies. Bring them together and offer the phrases of loving kindness to the collective. May you be safe, be happy, be healthy, live with ease. And then all beings everywhere, as a reflection of our vast and deep interconnection, the truth that our lives are intertwined with the boundlessness of life. May all beings be safe, be happy, be healthy, live with ease. And when you feel ready, you can open your eyes or lift your gaze. We'll end the meditation. Thank you so much for this, and may we all work to bring forth this quality and have it be our North Star as we navigate our lives.
Hi, I'm Robert Martin, co-founder of We Rise Now. It is my honor and privilege to introduce to you the Reverend Dr. Matthew Fox. Matthew Fox is an internationally acclaimed American theologian and spiritual maverick who has spent the last 40 years revolutionizing Christian theology to be more creation-centered, justice-oriented, and inclusive. He is an activist for gender and racial justice, as well as for ecological justice, and all this as expressions of the divine compassion for this entire world. Fox serves as an Episcopalian priest. He founded the University of Creation Spirituality in California, and he is incredibly active as a teacher and writer, giving dozens of workshops each year. As a mystical theologian, he has written over 30 books that have contributed much to the rediscovery of mystics such as Hildegard of Bingen and Meister Eckhart. His latest book is most timely. It's called Julian of Norwich, wisdom in a time of pandemic and beyond. It is our honor and privilege to have Matthew Fox with us tonight.
It's a pleasure to be with you this morning and talk to you about peace. I have three things to say about peace. The first teaching comes from the great Native American mystic Black Elk. He says, the first peace, which is the most important, is that which comes within the souls of people when they realize their relationship, their oneness with the universe and all its powers. With the universe and all its powers. And when they realize that at the center of the universe dwells Wankantanka, the Holy One, and that this center is really everywhere, it is within each of us. This is the real peace, and the others are but reflections of this. Such a profound teaching about the intrinsic relationship between the human psyche and the universe, the cosmos. We yearn for the whole, for the cosmos. We have to find that peace, that connection, before we find any others. This underscores the importance of cosmology, of stepping out of our human boxes and acknowledging our presence in the universe. And today, with science, we're learning the universe is 13.8 billion years, that our species came very, very late in the process, and that we are part of a place, a space of 2 trillion galaxies, each with hundreds of billions of stars. There's a peace to be found in relating to this sense of the whole. Thomas Aquinas in the 13th century said, every human being is capable of the universe. And is it in this capacity of connecting to the universe, he says, that every person finds his or her dignity, and we might say, peace. A second teaching on peace that I think is very practical and important comes from my friend, co-teacher, faculty member, M.C. Richards, a wonderful human being, philosopher, poet, and potter, and painter, and artist, in the true sense of the word. And this is what she says about peace and creativity. She says, we have to realize that a creative being lives within ourselves, whether we like it or not, and that we must get out of its way, for it will give us no peace until we do. It will give us no peace until we do. That we are made to give birth, to be creative, to put forth our wisdom in the world. This is the work of the fifth chakra, to speak our truth to the world in whatever way we do it, through our work or through whatever other expressions of creativity, including child rearing and citizenship, that we engage in. But there is a peace to be found in being creative, in tapping into our deepest inspirations, our well springs of creativity, and giving birth from there. So that is a second lesson on creativity and peace and creativity. The third lesson is an ancient lesson from the scriptures that we find in the great mystics like Thomas Aquinas and Meister Eckhart, Julian of Norwich, and others. And that is that there's no peace without justice. The prophets say this. This is why the prophets are so engaged in justice making. And justice is the bringing about of balance, of restoring fairness where injustice has taken over. Obviously, this has tremendous political implications, this making of peace by way of justice. Peace without justice is bogus. And peace with justice is what endures. It's what holds the earth together. In the Jewish tradition, the earth stands on 2 pillars, a pillar of justice and of righteousness, which is internalized justice. And when there's injustice, for example, the examples I give in the scriptures is when the widow goes unattended to or the orphan goes unattended to, when the poor are not attended to, and the powerful increase their power and their wealth and their influence, then these pillars that hold the earth are cracked. The whole earth is off kilter. That's what injustice means, that the cosmos, we're back to the cosmos again, is no longer steady. It's no longer holding. It's ruptured. It is ruptured. That's what injustice does. It ruptures the cosmos. So issues today of Black Lives Matter versus racism baked into our history in America for 400 years of slavery and the rest. Issues of women's rights, issues of the rights of other animals and other species, the struggle for balancing the climate that is off center, eco-justice, therefore. All these have everything to do with peace. We need to be working and working hard to see that justice returns, balance returns, and then peace returns. Peace between peoples on the earth. Thank you.
My name is Karen Lampy, and I am one of the founders of We Rise Now. It is my honor to introduce a pastor, social activist, and healer of hearts, and there are many more roles that our next presenter has played. If we could assign a life verse for her, it might be Micah 6:8. And what does the Lord God require of you, O mortal, but to do justice, love kindness, and to walk humbly with the Lord? Reverend Cassandra Wainwright currently is the president of the Concerned Clergy Coalition in Kansas City, a group of local pastors who address social issues in the Kansas City area. Recently, Reverend Wainwright has been involved in initiating a program, Pray on Truth, that called people from across the Kansas City metropolitan area to line the street in Kansas City known as a racial dividing line and pray for unity and an end to racial inequality. Listen now, that you might be inspired by her vision for peace and unity.
Hello, or good evening. I am here to share on the We Rise Now event to be able to speak to us in the area around unity. As we have gone forward with this election and all of the anxiety and everything else that was leading up to this time, we want to settle ourselves, our hearts, our minds, and our spirit, to know that regardless of the outcome of the election, that we want to be unified in our thought process. We want to be unified in the things that we think that are felt in the heart of God. And we recognize that the definition of unity is a state of being united or joined as a whole. It's a state of being one. And it's the condition of harmony and accord. And so we are declaring that, we are speaking that in the atmosphere. We are declaring that in the world, in our city, in our communities, that we are going to be unified. Being unified does not mean that you agree on every issue, that you agree on everything. Sometimes, and you've heard this said many times, that sometimes we agree to disagree, but it doesn't disrupt our relationship. It doesn't disrupt our unity. It doesn't keep us from being on one accord. We are not going to agree on every issue. So we want to speak to the people of God and to say that we want to be united in this hour, that we still want to recognize that God has called us to peace and not chaos, that we want to have a spirit of compassion one toward another. And so in that, I look at the fact that in this season that we live in, that there are many, many things that we can be divided about, that there are many things that could cause discord and disarray. And some of those things include racism and violence and police excessive use or police abuse or politics as we've been dealing with over this past year and injustice. There are many things that we could use to divide us. But we don't want at this season and in this time that we don't want to continue to use those devices and use those schemes as a way to keep us divided. We want to be unified. And even as Jesus spoke in John 17, he said, and I just want to share this in your hearing. He says in chapter 17 of John, verse 18, he says, and matter of fact, I better start at verse 17. And his prayer was to the Father, sanctify them through thy truth. Thy word is truth. As thou hast sent me into the world, even so have I also sent them into the world. And for their sakes I sanctify myself, that they also might be sanctified through the truth. Neither pray I for those alone, but for them also which shall believe on me through their word, that they all may be one, as thou, Father, art in me, and I in thee, that they also may be one in us, that the world may believe that thou hast sent me. And I just want to share, as Jesus spoke and he was praying to the Father, that too needs to be our prayer in this hour. That if the Spirit of the living God lives in us, and that it is in him that we move and we live and have our being, that we want to be as Jesus Christ, that we want that oneness to be demonstrated, to be displayed in the earth. Not just for those who call upon the name of Jesus the Christ, but for those who don't believe, or for those who believe something else. That we're not here to try to persuade anybody to be unified in our beliefs and in our theology, but we are wanting to persuade one another to be unified in our heart and in our spirit. And to put that on display at this time and in this season, no matter what, again, no matter what the election outcome is going to be, that is in the hand of God. That is, we've done what we were supposed to do. We voted, but the outcome of it is in the hands of God. We want to say, and we are declaring, that we want to lift up one voice. We want to lift up our voice in oneness and in one accord to say that God is in control. And that when this election is over, whatever the outcome is, that God is still on the throne, that nothing happens in and around us that he is not in control of, and that he will always have the final say. And to say and to declare to us and encourage us to know that we are stronger and better together than we will ever be divided, that we will ever be apart, and that if we can agree that we want to lift up one unified voice as people of God to declare to our cities, to our families, to our churches, to our communities, that we are one. And again, as I said at the beginning, being one does not mean that we are going to always be in agreement. There are going to be things that we will not agree upon and that we will not share the same thought process on. But that does not have to divide us to the point that we cannot come together, we cannot work together, we cannot serve our communities together, that we cannot serve our the people of God that he has given us influence with, that we cannot make a difference. And that is where we are in this season and in this time, that no matter what, we've got to make a difference. We've got to be the change that we seek to see in the earth. We've got to lift up our voices. We've got to know that now is that time. Now is that time. And we can no longer afford to be divided as people of faith. That God has called us to oneness. He has called us to oneness. And again, the definition of unity is the state of being united or joined as a whole. We are the people whom God has created. He has created us for purpose. He has ordained us to go into all the earth and to make disciples and to let him know that we are the light of the earth. We are a city set on a hill, and that we are on display for the entire world to see that we serve a true and living God. So we want to encourage you tonight to be able to know that we are declaring this in the atmosphere, that we are going to walk and serve as one body, united, living out our creed, living out our beliefs, living out the spirit of the God that we say we serve. And we will walk in unity. And we bless you and we thank you and we encourage you to come alongside us and agree to walk in unity as well. God bless you.
Hi, my name is Sylvania Harad, and first of all, I wanted to thank you for investing your time, whether it's 5 minutes or 5 hours, during this 30-hour vigil where we are connecting people just like we were truly intended to be, which is to let our light shine and consistently work on ourselves and working on those around us. So I get the ability to introduce Dr. Robert Thurman, who has invested many, many years doing that exact same journey of working on himself and also serving others. So Dr. Thurman is a preeminent American Buddhist author and scholar. He was educated at Phillips Exeter and Harvard. He then studied Tibetan Buddhism, and Asian languages and histories with many teachers, including His Holiness, the Dalai Lama. He held the first endowed chair in Buddhist studies in the West at Columbia University before retiring in June of 2019. He has written substantial scholarly works as well as popular books. To name a few, The Essential Tibetan Buddhism, Infinite Life, Awakening to Bliss Within, and Man of Peace, the illustrated life story of the Dalai Lama of Tibet. Dr. Thurman lectures all over the world in the public intellectual tradition, with special concern for ethics and human rights in general. Also, the fate of the endangered Tibetan culture and people in particular. He has been married to his wife, Nina Thurman, for over 50 years and is the father of 5 children. And if you're wondering, yes, he is also the father of the Uma Thurman. Dr. Thurman will be sharing reflections on our opportunity to rise above difference. It is with great privilege I get to introduce the one, the only, Dr. Robert Thurman.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Here we are together on election eve. And of course, we don't know how it will finally come out. But the purpose of this visit by a number of us, Lama Tsomo and friends, is to wish everyone well, including all the voters for whichever candidates, and also the candidates themselves, the losers as well as the winners, because in America we have a tradition we call it a consolation prize, that there are blessings even in defeat in some contests, because the ultimate thing is what we're contesting about. And of course, this contest has been about people who are seeking the honor and the privilege, and who are also willing to undergo the difficulties of serving the American people of this country, and also all the people of the world, because of America's important role in leading a very major element on the planet that in the Buddhist tradition, there is a concept of universal responsibility. His Holiness the Dalai Lama has made that a kind of watchword in English. The Sanskrit adhyasaya, or laktong in Tibetan, laksam rather in Tibetan, is a famous concept. And what that means is that because of the fact that we are all one family, every sentient being, not only all human beings, but every sentient being, and also in the Buddhist worldview, the Buddhist science, you could say the Buddhist Darwinian biology, which is called the law of karma. But that's Darwinian biology. It's not a mystical fate thing. It's a causal process of evolution. And in that causal process, everyone has had beginningless previous lives. And in those beginningless previous lives, everyone, including every animal and any other kind of angel or whatever kind of being, has been every other kind of being, because you have no beginning to your lives. You've been alive forever, everyone has. And therefore, everyone has been everyone else's family member. And most importantly, everyone has been everybody else's mom in some life. Even the men, even us, like less capable men, who would, of course, freak out if there was some sort of homeless person who suddenly took up residence in our belly without necessarily having, without a lease document. We males would be a little bit overwhelmed, I think. But even we were female in previous lives, and we were the moms of everybody. But also we've been the child of every being who has been our mom. And therefore, every being has had some life connection to us where our life was more important than theirs. Just normally, without being saints or anything. Well, moms are saints, and definitely all moms are saints. But the point is, it's natural for them. So because of their higher evolutionary development in the Buddhist view. In the theistic view, where you're kind of your soul is placed in your body at conception or birth or whenever exactly. There's different theories. In Buddhist view, it would be at conception, actually. Then you pre-existed infinitely in God, and everyone is a child of God. And according to at least the Albert Schweitzer Christians and Abrahamics, every other animal also has been a child of God, a creation of God. It's not just that humans have a soul. He challenges Orthodox Christology in that point, which I totally agree with him personally. As a Chris Boo, all boo, we jokingly call them Jew boos and Chris boos and whatever, because Buddhists don't mind sticking with grandma's religion in case they like Buddhism. They also love wherever they were born in, and that's considered very important by Buddhist leaders who don't want to be competing. The religion should not be competing for market share, let's say. We all think that. So therefore, we should think of everyone, at least in the United States, depending on whatever our view is, whether we think everyone came from God or whether we think they came from their own evolution over countless, beginningless, infinite time, going on into an infinite future. The theists will agree with Buddhists that the future is going to be infinite. You don't end it all in nothingness at death. That's just a fantasy, because nothing is nothing. How about that for an idea? So therefore you can't go there. So there's going to be endless future. Everybody more or less agrees. The secularists agree subliminally. They agree at the moment where they know they're going. They call for the rabbi or the minister or the lama or whoever it is. They say, "Come help," even though I'm going nowhere. But they don't really believe that. Nobody believes that. Really, in their heart of hearts, they do not. They fear where they might go in case they're unattended. So anyway, we're all kin, and everyone is a family. And so let's all, let's all MAGA. I don't like the MAGA really, but if we think MAGA stands for make us all great always, then it's okay with me. So I hope that for all of those of you, whether you're the winners or the losers, and I hope you hope all of that for all of us, whether we're the winners or the losers, since I don't know that yet. Okay. So let us all dedicate the merit of this wonderful exercise in universal responsibility, because we all took responsibility for casting our vote, for enthroning and for coronating somebody for a period of time, not forever, for a short period of time, relatively short, which people realize how short it is when they get to the end of it, although it seems long as we go through it. Okay, so all the best, everyone. And Lama Zomo, thank you for inviting me, and thank you for holding this wonderful, compassionate, friendly gathering on this very critical evening, because of course, now the work begins again. This was a huge work and a wonderful achievement, and a really important for the entire planet. All the dictators who are still out there, they should take note. This is the way to go. It's the way to have a nice retirement. You know, if you were a dictator, it's so boring. You just drink and kill people and try to stay in power. And then if you're unelected, they can't even pay you to leave because you're too scared, because you've been too nasty as a dictator to keep your dictatorial power. So you should see this. Look how happy both the winner and the loser are here today. They're happy. They're surviving, both of them. Okay? And their followers should follow that example and be happy. Okay? So please take note, dictatorial oriented types, that it's less fun. It's much more fun to be democratic and to have universal responsibility and to love and be compassionate towards everyone. Okay? Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ann Tillery, one of the election vigil organizers, and I'm honored to introduce Dina Miriam. Miss Miriam began working in the interfaith movement in the late 1990s when she served as vice chair of the Millennium World Peace Summit of Religious and Spiritual Leaders. She subsequently convened a gathering of women leaders, and from that meeting in 2002 founded the Global Peace Initiative of Women. Miss Miriam was also one of the founding members of the Contemplative Alliance, which brings together the voices of contemplative and spiritual teachers for societal transformation. The work of the Global Peace Initiative of Women currently focuses on exploring humanity's relationship with the earth, fostering ways of respect and reverence for all life. The initiative also seeks to provide a platform for young environmental and climate leaders who are working in heartfelt ways to address the ecological challenges of our time. For over 40 years, Miss Miriam has been a student of Paramahansa Yogananda and a practitioner of Kriya Yoga meditation. She is the author of the book, My Journey Through Time, a spiritual memoir of life, death, and rebirth, and of the untold story of Sita. Today, she'll be sharing how our thoughts of care and compassion add positively to our collective energy field.
Namaste. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to share my thoughts with you as we enter this critical time for our country. We all have been wondering how we can contribute to the best outcome, to helping our country move forward in a positive way, because what we do, what happens here, will affect the whole planet. There is a collective energy field, a collective thought field that's composed of all the thoughts and feelings of all of us here in this nation. We have a collective field. And now there's a lot of fear and anger, negative thoughts being put into that field. And also there are a lot of positive thoughts, a lot of hopes and aspirations. And as a spiritual community, and for those of us who have a spiritual practice, we are called, most particularly now, to be mindful of how we're contributing to this energy field. What thoughts, what feelings we're putting into this collective field. Because this field is a reality and has impact and effect. And so we are all, the more spiritual practice that we can do now, and not just for the next day, but for the next few weeks and months, because this next few weeks and months are going to be critical and how we move forward as an Earth community and how we move forward as a country, but that will affect the whole Earth community. So putting positive thoughts, loving kindness, thoughts of compassion, thoughts of care, not holding negative energies is very important right now. And that's a challenge. The more we can increase our spiritual practice and be more mindful as we go about our daily life, the more we're able to positively affect this collective energy field. So I think it's very important. Many things could happen that could cause us to be depressed or anxious or whatever. It's important to keep pouring out light into our own being, to being channels for the light that is already there. Because there are many guides and helpers, sources of light that are seeking for outlets, and we can be an outlet for that light. It's something we could be conscious of all the time, not just at this time. But now, since we are entering a period of seeming intensity, it's more important to be conscious of being a channel for light, and even just to consciously send light into the minds of Americans, and pray that the better angels, that the more hopeful aspirations, the feelings of human care will come out in the minds of Americans, that Americans won't be overcome by fear. They won't be controlled by hate. They won't allow manipulation of their minds, but that their better nature can come forward. And so each one of us is a microcosm of the macrocosm. So the more we can do it ourselves, the more we can help transform this energy field. We know that we're in a time of transition from one age to another. We're moving into a higher period of time. It may not feel that way, but it is true. And we know that because of the growing spiritual community and by the increasing practice that people are doing, the growing interest in spirituality. But we're not there yet. There's a lot of work to be done before this transformation can begin to truly manifest. And so the next few days, the next few weeks, the next few months, the next few years are critical in helping advance the human community to begin to manifest a better way of living on the planet, a more caring and compassionate and mindful way of living on the planet. So let us all join together in building this collective energy field, this positive collective energy field of care and loving kindness and light. And let us all spend the next few days doing as much spiritual practice as we can and being as mindful as we can to be channeled for light in this world. Thank you.
Rabbi Tarza Firestone, PhD, is an author, psychotherapist, and founding rabbi of Congregation Nava Kodesh in Boulder, Colorado. Rabbi Firestone is also a leader in the International Jewish Renewal Movement, a renowned scholar, and a teacher who has immersed herself in a variety of spiritual practices and worldviews. She has a master's degree in counseling and a doctorate in depth psychology. Her studies in the feminine wisdom tradition and Jewish mysticism resulted in her acclaimed book, The Receiving: Reclaiming Jewish Women's Wisdom. Her cutting-edge research on the impact and healing of collective trauma in the fields of neuroscience, psychology, and Jewish literature resulted in the groundbreaking book, Wounds into Wisdom: Healing Intergenerational Trauma. Tirza and her husband David have 3 grown children. It is our deepest pleasure to have Rabbi Firestone lead us in a meditative practice to calm the nervous system. Thank you.
This is a moment we are all in together. I think it's a moment that is historical and auspicious, and we will remember it for a long time. And it's important with the barrage of information and tumult that is coming at us to be very grounded and very centered and on purpose. I'd like to share with you a 3-part meditation: waterfall, tree, and channel. Very quickly, and it's very doable. Here is the way it goes, and you can expand it or modify it as you like. First, sit tall with your spine erect. If you can, place your feet on the ground and have a sense that your breathing is starting to smooth out, and allow it to enter your body to a count of 4. So inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, smoothing it and elongating it. And as you do, have an image that you are bringing it from the very bottom of your spinal column up your back. 1, 2, 3, 4 to the crown of your head. Let's just try that much. On your next breath, raising your breath, 1, 2, 3, 4, pause for just a millisecond and let it, on the exhalation, cascade down over the front of your body, washing you clean as if you're standing in a beautiful waterfall in Hawaii or some other gorgeous, warm, and lovely place in nature. So inhaling up, 1, 2, 3, 4, to the crown of your head, and exhaling, letting it wash over you, 4, 3, 2, 1, and to the earth, down all the way through the front of your body to your feet, allowing that exhalation, that out-breath to wash you clean and purify you of all the dross that you've been collecting as the tension has been building up this election season. Here we go. Inhaling up, 2, 3, 4, and washing clean in a beautiful cascade around the front of your body. 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's do that in silence for a moment. And once more, bringing the breath energy up your spine and washing over the front of you, clarifying, purifying, cleansing your field, your aura. And now, with your feet firmly on the ground, still breathing, to the count of 4, imagine that your exhalation can take your breath energy down, down, down beneath you through the foundation of the floor below you, as if you were a tall tree putting forth its roots, burrowing down into Mother Earth, 50 feet, 60 feet, 70 feet down beneath you. Just work with that image for a moment. As you exhale, imagine through the bottom of your spine, through your legs, through your feet, the soles of your feet, you're burrowing down, becoming a deeply rooted tree, unmovable, unflappable. Your trunk is tall, that's your spine. Your head is high, your branches reach forward, reach up into heaven. But most importantly, you are rooted down, unmovably, into Mother Earth. Feel yourself grounded deeply in the present moment, in this earth, a meant being, willed by Spirit to be here, unflappable in the the winds of this moment of history. Breathing up, tall, all the way up with your branches reaching up through the crown of your head. If you want to raise your arms, feel your expansiveness up toward spirit, toward heaven. And exhaling down, 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 down into Mother Earth. Grounded, deeply rooted, deeply anchored in the present moment, in this physical life. So with our breath and with our imaginal powers, we have cleansed with the waterfall meditation, and we have deeply rooted ourselves with the sense of tree roots moving down. Now we call in, perhaps most importantly, we call in our wise and well ancestors, our spiritual allies, our friends and teachers who have left this earth plane, but who are still there in this moment, assisting us and giving us lending us their energies. They've walked this earth before us. They've worked to spread love and justice in their lives with their intentions. And now we are standing on their shoulders, as it were. We are calling them in, we're invoking them to flank us, to stand around us. Take a moment and see who it is that you call in, who are your wise and well, bright and beneficent ancestors who no longer walk this earth, but whose energy you are, that enriches you and you call in now. With your next few smooth and easy breaths, see who it is that you are calling upon, whose energies are strong for you and strengthen you in the work of love and justice in this moment, this historical moment. And when you have them, these are either people from your own bloodline or historical figures. Martin Luther King Jr., Mother Teresa, Hildegard of Bingen. Who are your people? The Baal Shem Tov, people from the Bible, people that you emulate. Whisper their names now and call them around you. Deeply rooted in yourself, feeling the roots burrowing down again, being present in this moment of time. We join with their intentions and with people all over this country to be still, be peaceful, be filled with love and hope. And we say, I align myself with the power of peace, the power of love, the power of justice, care for all beings, and I radiate these energies outward. Very, very rooted and tall and strong in whatever words work for you. Affirm and align now with the powers of peace, the power of love, the power of justice, and radiate these energies outward to our beloved country, to people everywhere. feel these energies moving out as if through your pores, through your heart, through your belly, through your mind. And feel this unmovable, unshakable axis of love that you are, rooted deeply downward and upward. Thank you for joining me, and Godspeed to all of us.
That was beautiful. Thank you. I'm honored to now introduce my teacher, Lama Tsomo. Born into a Jewish family, Lama Tsomo charted a separate path of spiritual study that ultimately led to her ordination as one of the few female American lamas in Tibetan Buddhism. Today, she shares the teachings of the Namchak tradition. Utilizing her background in psychology, Lama Tsomo makes it easier for Westerners to bridge contemplative practice and modern life. She's particularly passionate about reaching young people and supporting those working for positive social change. She's the author of the award-winning Why is the Dalai Lama Always Smiling? An Introduction and Guide to Tibetan Buddhist Practice, and co-author of The Lotus and the Rose, a conversation between Tibetan Buddhism and mystical Christianity. She's also co-founder of the Namchak Retreat Ranch, a beautiful retreat center that will soon be opening in Montana. She'll be sharing a Tonglen practice with us. Thank you, Lama Tsomo.
Hello, I'm Lama Tsomo. I wanted to share with you today a Tibetan practice. It's a compassion practice that's very widely practiced across all the lineages of Tibet. And I think it's especially appropriate for this moment in time. And that's why I wanted to share it with you. I want to begin with a moment of silence. And I'm going to guide you through it a little bit. Let's all begin by just taking a breath. Settling in. And notice how you're feeling right now. On the feeling level, I know there are many layers. And one layer that I think we all share at this historic moment is a bit of background anxiety. There's a pandemic, anxiety around jobs and money, even if not for ourselves, for others around us. And of course, there's an historic election happening. And we have concerns for our society, our environment. And I think many of us are feeling frustration of one kind or another. So these are some background feelings that we might all be feeling at this time. And one more breath. One aspect that I wanted to zero in on with you is this interesting phenomenon that I think is particularly strong for Westerners. When something bad happens and we're suffering from something, we feel like we're supposed to blame somebody. It's sort of like this universal law in our minds, where if something bad happens, it's time to blame somebody. I remember noticing that when I was in my 20s, which was a long time ago. And, as I've studied psychology and studied meditation and experienced people from other cultures, like the Tibetan culture, I've begun to have some ideas about why it is that we're doing that. And of course, it's happening a lot right now because there's a lot of pretty intense stuff happening that we're suffering from. And a lot of us on really both sides of the political spectrum are feeling like things are not going well. So it's problematic, though, when we then jump into blame pushing and pointing fingers. That turns out not to be so productive. And it produces one thing pretty well, which is antagonism, because then everybody's tossing the blame ball back and forth, and it can get very intense. So I think it's important to look at, well, why are we doing this? Why is it that sort of 1-2? And I think it's because we in our society don't feel that we're intrinsically worthy. And so we're always kind of having to make ourselves worthy. And so if there's a problem, well, it better not be our mistake, because then we're unworthy. And actually, people would literally rather die than feel unworthy. There's actually been a lot of studies about that. But I think we all can feel how we want to be worthy. Well, luckily, we automatically, intrinsically are, because we're all from this great and perfect source, all of us. So we don't have to do anything to be made of that. I like to think of it in terms of like an ocean making waves. And what are the waves made of? Ocean, water. So that's what we truly are. So we're intrinsically worthy and we don't have to prove anything. All of a sudden, then, if something goes wrong, and if some of the responsibility is mine, I can take responsibility without my worthiness being at stake. So that's a very different view. And it's particularly different from what we Westerners have been programmed with. So I'm bringing all this up because, of course, there is a lot of suffering going on. And it looks like there's going to be a lot more in the near future. And so wouldn't it be great if, instead of seeing that and thinking, I better hurry up and blame somebody because I can't be to blame because then I'm unworthy, instead, we could think, wow, compassion. So many people are going to be suffering. What can I do to help? So that's why I thought of this compassion practice. It's a very simple one. It uses visualization and breathing. We all know how to breathe. And actually, we all know how to visualize, for example, internal conversations. So we're used to imagining so-and-so and then having a whole imaginary conversation with them. I do that while I'm supposed to be meditating all the time. Well, in this meditation, you actually get to kind of do something like that officially. This practice is called Donglin, which means sending and receiving. And what you're doing is you're training in compassion by seeing somebody who's suffering. And the exchange with them isn't then the usual internal conversation. Rather, it's that when we see them suffering, we want to take away that suffering and replace it with happiness. So that's the sending and receiving that we're doing. And we use visualization because we're visualizing critters. You know, we do visualize when we're having those internal conversations. It's quite natural. It doesn't have to be a perfect visualization, by the way, just the sense that you're having this exchange. So I will speak in imagery, and that will evoke a feeling, which is the most important thing. This is really about the feelings of compassion. So compassion means suffering with, feeling with, compassion. So generally, we'll imagine somebody in front of us and we'll take in their suffering through breath. We're going to breathe it in. We're going to imagine that it looks like dense, heavy clouds. So that's also a feeling, right? And we take it right into our hearts, our compassionate hearts. And those compassionate hearts, every one of our hearts, is a doorway to that great source, that great ocean that I was describing before, which can handle all of that suffering, no problem. So your heart is like a doorway. So we'll breathe that in and let it go into the entire ocean. And then as we breathe out from the entire ocean, through the doorway of our heart, we're focusing with our intention like a lens. We're focusing the joy of that ocean, incomprehensible, vast joy, onto the one we were having this exchange with, the suffering one. And so we've taken away the suffering and replaced it with complete happiness. And we're going to start at the center with us, ourselves, and our own suffering. And we Westerners particularly need to train in that because I don't think we like ourselves very well. And I don't think we practice a lot of compassion for ourselves. So very important to begin with ourselves so we have a basis for then stepping it out. And we'll step it out in concentric circles to larger and larger groups of suffering people and all beings eventually. So get comfortable. And I suggest you close your eyes because it makes the visualization a little bit easier. And we're going to start with this exchange with ourselves. So we're going to kind of have to divide ourselves in two in a way. So take that small suffering version of yourself and tuck it inside of your great compassionate heart. And be clear about the shape of your particular suffering, the particular feeling of it. Is it the suffering about all of the concerns? Is it the suffering about the frustrations? Is it about, in particularly, the environment or the election or society or whatever it is for you that's really up for you? In particular, focus on that. But just so that we're all kind of together in this, please pick something along those lines. So again, you've got your small suffering self inside your heart. And you breathe in those dense, heavy clouds into your heart, your compassionate heart. And it really goes on through to the great ocean of compassion. And then on your exhale, come bright, glowing, spacious clouds that soak into this suffering one in your heart. And breathe again. Taking away the suffering on the in-breath with those dense clouds. And exhaling the spacious, bright clouds into that suffering one so that their face changes to a smile. And breathe again. Now imagine someone close to you who is suffering from these same kinds of themes, something along those lines. And of course, you don't want this person to suffer. You care for them. And so you want to take away that suffering and replace it with happiness. So you see them in front of you and you breathe in their suffering, those dark, dense clouds right into your heart. But it doesn't have to stick there. It goes through all the way to our common root. And also from that common root comes the vast joy in the form of those spacious, bright clouds, soaking into your dear one, friend, relative, whomever. And breathe for them again. And I'm sure you can think of somebody else you care for. And you don't want them to suffer from this either. And so you breathe for them in just the same way. Keeping your breaths even. So just as strongly on the in-breath, taking in the suffering, and just as strongly on the out-breath, bringing them joy. Finally, here's something you can do. And see their face change. Now imagine everyone in your block or neighborhood who is probably suffering in some way from these concerns. And so we want to relieve them of those concerns, give them a little break from those, and replace it with happiness. So we breathe in from various directions now, all at once. And exhaling the spacious, bright clouds into all of them. And again. And imagine their faces softening and turning into a smile. Now imagine that everyone across the whole United States of America, and probably everyone of every political stripe, is also concerned for our future. So we want to take that away from everyone. So we breathe in those dense, dark clouds of that suffering from all directions. And exhaling the spacious, glowing clouds in all directions to each and every one of them. And again. And of course, everyone in the world has really all of those same concerns. They're concerned about the pandemic, about economies, jobs, societies, the environment, all of those things. And so we breathe for everyone across the world, taking in those dense, heavy clouds. And from that vast ocean, through the focused lens of our intention and our compassionate heart, we breathe out to all beings all over the world. The joy, the vast happiness that's in that source of us all and that runs through us all. And one more breath. And now I ask you to take a moment to reflect. How do you feel right now? Do you feel at all different from before you began this? Important to notice. Thank you for sharing your time.
Hi, I'm Robert Martin, one of the co-founders of We Rise Now. It is my great honor to introduce to you Imam Dr. Talib Sharif. Imam Sharif has devoted his life to creating a peaceful and unified world at the nation's mosque in Washington, D.C. While in D.C., he is the director of the American Muslims Against Terrorism and Extremism. He was also the president and chair of the Interfaith Conference there in D.C., as well as on the Mayor's Interfaith Council. Imam Sharif served his country well in the United States Air Force. He has since retired. He was vice commander and national chaplain of the Muslim American Military Association. Imam Sharif is an intellectual and a scholar, holding positions as dean and professor of interfaith and Islamic chaplaincy at Global Ovid Day Seminary University. It is with my deepest appreciation and gratitude that I present to you Imam Talib Sharif.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, and that is with Almighty God's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. I greet you all with the greetings of peace. Assalamu alaikum. I am Imam Talib Sharif of Masjid Muhammad, the nation's mosque in Washington, D.C. I want to thank Reverend Dr. Richard Martin and all the organizers for giving me an opportunity to share an Islamic perspective on unity, peace, and love. I want to take us back to the universe before it existed. We know that we all occupy shared freedom space in this universal order. And we know the word universe, of course, has uni, which means one, and verse, meaning a communication, a sign, a message, something to be read. And we know that the first words revealed to Islam's holy prophet, Muhammad, the prayers be upon him, was Iqra. Iqra, meaning to read, meaning to read. And there were 5 verses. The first words or verses that followed included creator and creation. It was connecting reading with creation and how to read the creation. So the universe, this material world, this creation, is one big book to be and should be read. A communication that is to be received and is communicating one, our essential message. And what is that message? Firstly, that the creator behind it all is one, that the creation is one, and that we that came out of that one creation, we are one human family under Almighty God, one human. There are no 2 types of human beings, only one. So it's a message of oneness, promoting unity. That's the first message from the textbook of the universe. And today we know we have institutions of higher learning called universities. And we know in that word universities, we can also say university. We can say it's saying that the school of higher learning is really a city that categorizes the knowledge that was extracted from the universe of the higher authority. In our Holy Scripture, the higher authority, Almighty God is telling us to observe the wisdom of a higher order. He gives us a picture of this great universe, saying prior to our current universal order, he says in the very beginning, the universe was not quiet. It was not peaceful, but rather it began with noise and confusion, explosion, chaos. It was in chaos, a state of violent commotion or disturbed smoke. And God didn't want it to stay like that. So he ordered unity to come into it. He wanted order and unity. He willed order and unity to come into it. And he said, come ye together, willingly or unwillingly. And in scripture, the creation replied, we come willingly. So it came willingly. The creation that was here before us, that we came out of, came willingly. So that's to tell us that our own nature, which came from that same creation, our physical bodies doesn't want us to go against our Creator's will. When we do, we go against our own nature. So when order and unity came into the chaos, everything received its attention. And the bodies were given freedom, freedom to have their orbits, to have their place in the beautiful picture of the universe, and everything got its respect and was given its freedom to have its existence, its function in the whole picture. And after that order, justice, and unity was established, then there was peace in the heavens. Therein is a universal logic for human life in progress. Almighty God, the Creator, He has given us a picture, a message to show us what must and can happen on this earth when we come together as He wills, when we respect and appreciate ourselves and others as we respect ourselves, when we respect and appreciate our differences. In seeing that picture, the spiritual person thinks of his soul, that the same God that can bring peace to the heavens after its chaos can bring peace to my soul. And peace is the hope of every human soul. After all, the matter, the material, the mother nature that we came out of, it achieved peace. And that's how we come here. We come here wanting peace. Adam, our father Adam, when he was created, his nature was upon the peace received from the earth, the material world. And as God said about his original creation, that it was good, it was excellent, it was very good. And when Adam was created, he didn't have a racial identity. He didn't have an ethnic identity. He didn't have a national identity, etc. His first identity given to him by God, the Creator, was human. And in and from that identity came all of the wonderful, beautiful, diverse expressions of human life, all from the human family of Adam, one human family under Almighty God. Almighty God is telling us in the creation of Adam that the human identity, the first, that it is the first and most important identity. And it will always be strong enough to support all the other identities because we have only one human essence and are a part of each other and likewise. You know, the truth is all basically is anytime we see a newborn baby, you know, God is saying, don't look back at that historic figure of Adam. Look at that newborn baby that comes here just like Adam did when Adam was created. He was good and pure, innocent, obedient to the life and to the nature that it was created upon, loving and ready to receive love, etc. The baby comes here upon universals, and they're not conscious of themselves as a race. They're not conscious of themselves as an ethnicity. They're not conscious of themselves as a national. Now, even though they're born in those circumstances, that's not how they come here human first. And they speak universally. They love, they cry, they laugh, they communicate all the same, all babies. And we know the mother, regardless of the mother's race, ethnicity, or nationality, in a state of nature, when that mother feeds the child, she feeds that child right from the place where she wants to hold the new life, which is right by her heart. A beautiful, enduring picture of love and compassion. Love is the key ingredient to a healthy human being, a healthy human society.
Thank you, Imam. That was beautiful. And now it is my great privilege to introduce Her Holiness Saima. Her Holiness Saima was the first female Jagaguru in the 2,700-year-old Vishnu Swami lineage. In India, Saima is revered as the embodiment of Divine Mother. Saima holds a PhD in spirituality. She is the author of the book Petals of Grace. Saima's work blends Western therapeutics with Eastern wisdom. Saima is a humanitarian, and during this COVID-19 crisis, she has devoted herself to the upliftment of our entire human family. She asks that each and every one of you who hear her message vote. And so it is my utmost privilege from the depths of my heart to introduce to you, to welcome to you, Her Holiness Saima Lakshmi Devi.
Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, distinguished guests, and dear, dear soul. It's delightful for me to be with you during this global awareness, so interesting phase on this planet. In which each one of us is to be aware, how do we wish to continue our legacy on planet Earth, on this dimension? This is the perfect timing for each one of us to take ownership of our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, our power, our grandeur, our light, our consciousness to its highest level. In that, the more we go within, the more we take moment of silence, the more we are in stillness, we'll discover a truth which never change. It's consciousness in its purest form, formless at the same time. This truth that is so palpable when we have been in touch with different state of consciousness within us. And Master, Jesus, Master taught us through meditation how to live in a state of truth, a state of awareness of awareness, that awareness state that shows us who we are as an individual, who we are as a togetherness, and who we are as spirit, and who we are as cosmic awareness. To experience liberation, liberty, the face of liberty. Actually, there's a goddess in our esoteric knowledge, the goddess of liberty, which reside within each one of us, whether we are a male energy or a feminine energy, masculine and feminine, both reside within us, within the presence of freedom. The more we respect that consciousness of liberation, of freedom, the more we become an example of determination for success of our country. Through listening, through compassion, through learning, through understanding, through our intellect, through kindness, through compassion, caring, and start to communicate through another level with teamwork. Politics, I've been in politics under two different presidents in Europe, President Mitterrand, President Chirac. Always managed to bring that truth of consciousness, how to collaborate, how to work together, how to see, how do we serve each other, how to contribute in this collaboration, that cooperation, and coexist in the grace of existence. It's not about the flag. It's easy to pull a flag. Pull it up, pull it down, that's easy. But let's look at the exquisite beauty of our planet in this galaxy, in this universe, among the million suns. We have the privilege on this dimension, in this dimension, to have the freedom of free will. It has been gifted to us. Now, the fact that we have this gift of free will, we have the power to shift our consciousness, the good, the less good, the best, the less best, whatever you wish to call it, higher frequency, lower frequency. Now, when we are into a global crisis, like what's happening now, what is the meaning of this? The meaning is we are shifting paradigm. We're moving from an old paradigm where there was one person who holds all the power to enter a new paradigm where we all start to blossom and exist and move into that woven space of oneness consciousness, of oneness greatness through our intelligence, and bring our intelligence into action to collaborate together. It's absolutely amazing to move together, to be together, to construct peacefulness, to construct a peaceful planet, a peaceful consciousness as our legacy for our children, grandchildren, great-great-grandchildren. We're moving from a fantastic past era to a new era, which we call a yuga in the Vedic tradition from India. When we incarnate that oneness, when we incarnate that awareness of building, of constructing a greater world, a oneness world with trust, with courage. What is courage? Courage is you feel a little uncomfortable, a little fear even, and you still go for it. It's amazing what it creates. It's highest, its grandest consciousness, the way Master taught us through knowledge. Master will take days of silence and teach us when he will come out of silence, teach us the faith within us, the courage within us, the existence within us, and take us through different state of awareness with action. And now this is it. Together with this shift of consciousness, we are moving into that state of virus, that virus that's coming. It's not a coincidence. And I know it's brutal. I know that. I see it. And we still have to adapt ourselves to live a harmonious society, a new reality, live with our dignity, not blaming each other, but cooperate, coexist with each other, and create an alliance of harmony with each other, to know that nothing happens by coincidence. Why are we being locked out? And it's going to happen. There are several phases of this. I say that in January or February, to go inward, to merge with ourself, our soul, our higher self, and to get to know our close environment. Most people don't know their children because of work, of taking the children, the babies at a very young age to a nanny, to a caring system outside of the house. As a nanny for me goes in the house because I was a nanny once. So it's not a coincidence. It's all about consciousness. It's all about consciousness. It's all about every human to realize that every human is good, has a good heart, is aware. And when a human screams, in all these lower frequencies that you all know about. What is this human is saying? He's saying, please love me. Please look at me. Please listen to me. Please hear me. Please embrace me. Please, I'm lacking love and I need you. This is the new paradigm, and we are entering that. So each one of us has the responsibility, and we have to respond to this ability. We have this responsibility because we carry it within us to look for the nobility in harmony, the nobility of a human being. You see, the elders knew that. And now we who are saying we are on a spiritual path, we go to church, we listen to Jesus' words, we meditate, we sit in silence. What is our example today? Are we willing to forget if somebody has hurt us? Are we willing to forgive? To ask for forgiveness, to be humble? Ask for forgiveness to the other and forgive the other and forgive ourselves. Are we humble enough to accept that we have done mistakes and to forgive ourselves? Speak to the soul of others. Ask for forgiveness. We each need each other. Nobody's superior to another. The moment you enlighten, you realize that you are in everybody. We care for everybody. The health. We care for the health of each and every one. In this country, we miss the health care of each other. To protect each other. We ought to be wonderful to each other, wonderful to ourselves. Find the greatness of each other. Rekindle our love for each other. Move into that oneness, that compassion. Put aside the resentment. Become aware again. Be awakened to that state that Jesus brought to us. That free will, that free choice. Step into that maturity of spirituality. Isn't that Jesus came to share that with us? That maturity of awareness, that maturity of higher level of consciousness. The ascension of our awareness, the ascension of our consciousness, the ascension of our mind. Be mindful. Practicing church once a week is not enough. Make your physical being a church, a temple. Live within it. Be within. Be an example of nature. I was walking in the garden today and I'm observing in the wind, in the sun. I got sunburn in the sun and see that how nature is collaborating, is practicing. You see, nature will never give too much or not enough. When you see a tsunami, when you see a storm, when you see a hurricane, the planet is vomiting. Cosmic consciousness is coming on the planet. Universal consciousness is coming. Christ consciousness, which is a phenomenal principle, is coming on planet Earth in this new era. Buddhic consciousness, there's only one. There's only one. It's all about consciousness. Low consciousness versus higher consciousness, low frequency versus higher frequency. Blessings to you. Blessings to each and every one. Take a breath with me. If you accept, close your eyes. Breathe consciously for a few seconds, for a few moments. And now inhale and hold that breath. Exhale. Hold. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. On your own rhythm. That space between the inhale and the exhale, this is where all of us, including politicians, citizens, we could live our life. There's a consciousness there that's connected to your soul, to the heart of your heart, to the pure spirit of you as consciousness. Keep your eyes closed and lift your hands and open your hands towards me. And we together will feel a tremendous amount of energy, of light, of consciousness, of blessings. Bathing ourselves. Let us bless the elections. Let us bless the White House. Let us bless the politicians. Let us bless with our full heart so that the consciousness of politicians shift. They start to go within. They start to meditate, to listen from within, to be an embodiment of their souls. And all of us be an embodiment of our soul so that the legacy we built on this planet is greater and greater for the coming civilizations, for the generations to come, so we can breathe in an enlightened planet, on an enlightened, awakened planet, with an enlightened civilization, an awakened civilization as the generation to come. With our love, let us heal our consciousness, our human consciousness. Heal our body, heal our minds, all the aspects of our minds. Heal our humanness, heal humanity at large. So we welcome the light of Christ to bless each and every one today and every day, every moment, in the grace of life, in the grace of love from within your heart, your magnificent heart. And today, I welcome you in my heart with great, great love, with great gratitude, within the divinity that you are as your essence. A life filled with pure consciousness, a humanness breathing this cosmic consciousness, this transcended consciousness of all that is, of that oneness, that togetherness, as we are all in this oneness consciousness together. I wish you all the best in the greatness of life, in the grandness, in the magnificence, the grandeur of you within your soul, your highest self, your Christ self, in source, in pure consciousness. Great blessings to each and everyone. Thank you.
What a beautiful message from Her Holiness Saima, and what a powerful practice. Saima asked me to ask each and every one of you to please vote, get out and vote. And now we're going to enter the portion of our program where we engage our candlelight ritual. If you haven't already gathered a candle, go ahead, grab your candle, light it, and in a moment, we'll begin.
Each of the world's great religions and wisdom traditions teaches that there is a divine light waiting to be awakened in each of us.
That light is the presence of the divine, the light of love that dwells in the altar of your heart.
Move your awareness to your heart and breathe into your heart, calling to the light within, igniting its presence.
Opening your heart to receive this light, softening your heart to shine this light out into the world.
In this moment, commit to being a light of peace. Fill it in your heart and shine it into the world.
In this moment, commit to being a light of compassion. Feel it, that compassion in your heart, and shine it out into the world.
In this moment, commit to being a light of courage. Feel courage in your heart and shine it into the world.
In this moment, commit to being a light of unity. Feel that unity in your heart and shine it out into the world.
Commit now, no matter what comes, to shining your light into the darkness. The darkness cannot extinguish your light.
In this moment, rise up.
With intention now, raise your candle to the sky. Know that the light will come to this world through you, through the temple of your heart. from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for joining us tonight in the spirit of unity. We have two invitations for you. The first invitation is to consider keeping your candle burning, at least through the end of Election Day, as a reminder, a symbol of awakening that light within you and of our oneness in peace, courage, and compassion. We also invite you to continue to tune in, because until Election Day is over, this will be a place where you can find meditation and prayer. We have amazing teachers coming to provide that meditation and prayer for you consistently. And so when you feel angry, when you feel anxious, depressed, frightened by what's going on, we suggest that you consider turning off the news, perhaps disengaging from talk radio or some of the divisive things that can be posted on social media, and come here to renew your experience of oneness. So please join us tonight and throughout tomorrow to meditate and pray with us. Know that a replay of this vigil will be available on Facebook and YouTube for you to listen to again, or to invite friends and family that may have missed it to tune in. And please remember that no matter what happens in the coming days, that you have the ability, the capacity to ignite that light within you and to share it with the world. We invite you to light the night and to continue to know that when you do bring your light to the dark, you make a difference for this world. Thank you so very much for being with us. Love and peace to each and every one of you. Have a beautiful night.